the guy that I really learned about family and being in this type of environment. Now that I'm a coach, Coach Bobby Bowden.
Let's go, Seminole!
We celebrate great Seminole victories on the road, against the crowd, against the odds. But it doesn't just happen. It happens because of legendary athletes. And goodness, we've got a lot of legendary athletes for you to meet today. We want to thank the folks at the Tallahassee Democrat who helped get out the word of Sod Talk so well, FSU Sports Marketing, Seminole Boosters, War Chant. He caught 166 passes in his career for 2,920 yards. He had 13 games of more than 100 yards in pass receptions, and he set a Florida State record with 29 touchdown catches. Played with the Indianapolis Colts for 3 years. From Fort Walton Beach, welcome number 19, E.G. Green. Right here live and in person.
How y'all doing, everybody?
Our second legend is from Jacksonville. Anybody else from Jacksonville here today? Jay Jacksonville in the town. From Jacksonville, Florida. This linebacker was big, tough, fast, dependable. He was a 1993 national champion. Great Seminole. He had a knee injury in 96, but he came roaring back in 1997. He became a consensus All-America. He was the ACC Brian Piccolo National Player of the Year, and he was voted the Defensive Player of the Year in college football. He had an 8-year career in the NFL where he became an All-Pro. In the beginning, he was number 56, but he wanted to be number 1 in your heart, and he became number 1. Would you welcome, from Jacksonville, Sam Coward. How you doing? Does Sam sort of look like what a middle linebacker is supposed to look like? That's what I'm
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Well, we are glad to have these legends. E.G., let's talk a second.
All right.
E.G., you could have gone to a lot of places. Over in Fort Walton, you probably could have gone to Alabama or Auburn or Ole Miss. Why'd you pick Florida State?
Well, first of all, with the head coach being Bobby Bowden, it's hard to say no. He comes over to your house and he just says all the right things, and all of it's true. He's the guy that you kind of look up to playing for, and that was one thing. And also, the other two things was the camaraderie when I went to the game, and how the chop, and I seen the chop, and I just fell in love with that. And then also, you're going to be playing with some great players. Guys that's going to go on to the next level with. All of us, obviously Sam, all of us had that desire and had that dream to play in the NFL. And you knew there was no better place to go if you wanted to fulfill those dreams than at Florida State.
That's pretty good reasons. E.G., I want you to remind us, when you were out here on these practice fields, who were the other guys you were competing with at wide receiver?
Well, we had, I played with Andre Cooper, which is also from Jacksonville. I played with Peter Ward. Out of Bradenton, Florida, Snoop Menace from Miami. Randy Moss was here for a semester, which was amazing to see. I'm glad, I'm glad he left. But, the list get Wayne Messam, who's basically the mayor in Miramar. Ron Dugans, who Damian Harrell, Kes McCorvey, Matt Fryer. I mean, Kevin Garnett, some really good guys that
You get the impression that if this guy started, there was a whole lot of good competition to go.
Yeah, a lot of good competition.
Who were some of the toughest defenders you remember going against as a Seminole?
I mean, to be honest with you, the toughest defenders we had was at practice. I mean, we used to go, we had Samari Roll there. We had Corey Fuller was amazing to me. I mean, he was a specimen. Clifton Abraham. But then when you go against opponents, North Carolina had a few. Dre Bly, he was good. They had a lot for the guy Lott, Antonio Lott, I think, from Florida, was pretty good at the time. We played against some good talent, but for the most part, when it came down to competition, the best competition was right, on the practice field. That's where I got the best at.
E.G., North Carolina, 1997, we went up there. We were ranked 2nd. Carolina was ranked 5th. And the folks at Carolina said this is the biggest football game in North Carolina history. The Seminoles won 20-3, but you led us with one of the most fabulous one-handed grabs in the corner of the end zone ever at Florida State. Look it up on YouTube. What do you remember about that game and that catch?
Oh, well, I mean, that game we had Sam Cowart on defense, and they really set them. I don't even know if they scored 10 points. 3 points, yeah. So we didn't really have to do much. All we really was concerned about was not turning the football over and making a play or two. And that's on offense, because they had a pretty good defense there. And as far as the catch, it was a sense of desperation. The guy we had great corners. The guy had me covered, and Thad just gave me a chance. I put my hand out, and it stuck. I was surprised, just like everybody else was. I was like, wow, I can't. So
we're glad you looked at it and found that ball.
Yeah.
What was it like to play for Bobby Bowden?
Amazing. I mean, you really don't appreciate it until you actually leave Florida State and understand what type of man he was. And I tell people this all the time, like Coach Bowden, he really wasn't worried about what we did on the football field. We knew we could take care of that. He wanted to make sure we were great men. And he spent so much time, not even worried about football and plays and X's and O's and who starts and who. He was really trying to get us to be great men and then let the football play itself out. And that was one of the things that even now that I'm coaching, that I always take with me. Everything that pretty much Coach Bowden did and his coaching career when I was there, I imitated it. So he was just a great man, great role model, father figure to most of us, probably all of us. And obviously he's probably, if not he's the best coach ever in college football.
E.G., you had a student a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, down at IMG Academy. French guy, I think his name is DeAndre Francois.
Yeah, I heard his name.
Can you tell us about what kind of quarterback your student could be?
Oh man, sky's the limit for him. He has the talent, as you see. He can do it all. He can throw it, 80 yards. He can run. He's very intelligent, high football IQ. But one thing that I like about DeAndre is his leadership ability. And he's not necessarily a rah-rah type of guy, even when he was at IMG. And he was good for him because he was around a lot of 4- and 5-star athletes at that time in high school. But it's how he prepared, how he encouraged players. And you see it now. I see it now on TV when they're playing. He never gets down on the receivers. He's not getting down on the line. Even when things aren't going as well, he still keeps an even keel. And I think the sky's the limit for him. I'm just so excited and so proud that I was able to be a part of his development.
Well, when you see that leadership ability, you know that maybe some high school coaches had a lot to do with it. E.G., what's it meant to you to be a Seminole?
To be a Seminole, to be a graduate of Florida State University means everything. I mean, it's something that even you're talking about getting a job. Most of our jobs that I've worked for has been for guys who either loves Florida State or went to Florida State. So I mean, it runs through my veins. I'll always be a Seminole. I always represent Florida State. I love it to death. And I appreciate the growth. We didn't get stagnant when I left, when Sam left. Even when Bobby left, Coach Bowden left. it continues to evolve and continue to grow. I mean, I'm lost. I don't even know where I'm at right now. I just don't even look familiar to me. So it's amazing, just the people and how down to earth they are, you know, but just how welcoming they are. Even when I was a nobody, they treat me like I was somebody. So it's something I always take with me.
E.G., you're certainly somebody, and we're glad you're back at Florida State. Thank you, E.G. Green.
Thank you, thank you.
Great father figure. And back then, TV was big, and that was one of the main reasons you wanted to come to a school like a Florida State, Florida, Miami. You wanted to be on television. And Florida State, we played probably 10, 11 games a season, either on national TV or regional coverage. And, you know, you want to be an All-American, you want to compete with the best and win the national championship. And I was able to accomplish all the things by coming to Florida State.
You did all of that, I think. Sam was on the 1993 national championship. What was it like to play on a national championship team as a freshman?
It was amazing. I mean, to come in straight out of high school, to win a national championship, something you know, dream of. And at the same time, you know, E.G. can contest to it as well. It was great watching Charlie and Ward and all them guys do their thing, because you know, back then we were scoring probably 40 a half. You know, we'll put up 40 points by halftime. So as everybody else in the stands were watching, we was on the sideline. You know, we was trying to watch as well.
There was a lot to see. Now, Sam, you had a defensive coordinator who was a great player at Alabama. His name is Mickey Andrews. What was it like to play for Mickey Andrews on defense?
Mickey was tough, but Mickey was fair. You know, Mickey wanted the best out of each one of his players. He wanted to try to instill and try to find a way to make you become an average player to a good player to be a great player. And, you know, he had his own methods of, you know, pulling it at you, but Mickey was a great coach. I mean, a lot of stuff I learned, you know, that really elevated me when I got to the next level was because of Mickey and the coaching staff at Florida State.
Sam, I remember something Mickey used to say. He said, "I want 11 men around the ball." What did that mean?
Well, that meant when we came in and watched film on Mondays, whenever they ran a play and they stopped the play, he would take the highlighter and he would count the number of helmets. And if your helmet wasn't around that ball, you was going to be running a lot of stadiums, a lot of up and downs around the field. So that was his example of just making it, you know, everybody to the ball. If you're tired, we got plenty of guys that can come in and relieve you. So it wasn't no excuse not to get to the ball.
I kind of like 11 men around the ball. It's pretty good. Your 97 defense, folks, his defense allowed 1.5 yards per rush on the other team. How did you guys do that, Sam? What was the secret?
Well, the secret was Andre Wadsworth, Greg Spires, Bernard Wilson, Peter Bowen. And then you had me and Darrell Bush and some, you know, a couple other guys, but man, them guys up front, they was tremendous. They was tremendous.
So you just saying it was easy. You just had just to follow behind what they left. Is that right?
With them guys that we had up front that, you know, went on to be first round picks and, you know, had stellar careers in the NFL, I mean, playing behind them guys, it was an honor, man. They just got better each year that we was at Florida State.
You guys had a tremendous defense. Sam, 8 years in the NFL and an All-Pro. Who were some of the best runners that you remember and having tried to pull down in the National Football League?
I'd say probably the bus, Jerome Bettis, Eddie George. He was a big guy, big hard runner, and probably Curtis Martin. You know, he was a smaller guy, but he was shifting, he was tough, and I also played with him. So that was, you know, a good thing because now they have to, you know, go up against him anymore. So yeah, probably them 3 guys there was.
You're saying that jumping on the bus was not that easy.
On the bus, around the bus, too, but no, it was not easy.
What's it meant for you to be a Seminole, Sam Cowart?
Everything, you know, I've always been, my experience at Florida State, you know, coming here in 93, leaving in spring of 98, it was unbelievable, fantastic. I tell a lot of people all the time, if I could go back and do it again, I'd make the same selection every time.
That win was a perfect side win. It's exactly what Dean Coromore thought about. It's against the crowd, against the odds, when nobody thought we had much of a chance to win. Now admit it, you probably weren't too sure we could win that game either, were you? No, I know all of you thought we would, right? Yeah. But the group that thought they could win if they gave their best effort were the guys in the gold helmets and their coaches. And that's what counted, and Florida State brought back the side to you. First Legend is very much like a sod win in a sense. Our First Legend, his football life is like a sod win. It's against the crowd, against the odds, when not too many people thought he had a chance, but he had it here to know that he could do it. From Panama City, Florida, and Rutherford High, he was a defensive back in high school, a good one, but he had the same number of college offers that I did, and I didn't play college. I didn't play high school ball. But he had a dream of playing. Hold on, not yet. We got to build up the crowd. He had a dream of playing college football. He went to community college, and then he came to Florida State University. He earned his AA degree. He transferred. He walked on. No one knew who he was. He proved himself. And one August, a year ago, he was called in and told, "You have an athletic scholarship at Florida State University." That was 4 years after high school. First, he was a player on special teams, and then by the 5th game of the season, the Seminoles truly needed him as a starter. They called, and he answered. In the last 6 games last year, he had 37 tackles and a key interception to hold a win for the Seminoles. We don't want to break any ankles yet, Joe. You got it.
Jim Crosby.
I want to give
I'm trying to keep it.
We're about teachers. Yes. I guess it took it. I don't know. Stephen did.
Yes, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of you.
Our second legend, a little different story. Everybody wanted him out of high school. He was considered the best field goal and extra point kicker in high school ball. He committed to Florida State early, and he held that commitment.
We're from Panama City. Yeah. I actually work with Arnold on doing the chains there. We played us the other day.
Oh, really?
They're all doing really good this year. A bunch of people quit. Yeah, it's hard. Good team. I think that coach is good. I think he came in and put a new system
In 2013, he's a redshirt freshman, hadn't played before. In 2013's a roaring team, and they said, "We need you," and he said, "I'm ready." He took that role and became the national championship All-America kicker. 2014, he won the Lou Groza Award as the top kicker in college football. 2015, another All-America year. In his career, he attempted 198 extra points, and he made 198 extra points. He attempted 78 field goals, made 69, and never missed under 40 yards. He's the most accurate field goal and extra point kicker in NCAA history. And in 69 years of Seminole football, there are only 2 players who have been 3-time first-team All-Americas. The first one we call Prime Time. And the second one is with us today. Our legend from Mascot, Florida and Tampa Bay, Roberto Aguayo. Don't fall.
Guaranteed.
Javian, let's talk a minute. Welcome back. Now, you finished high school. You didn't have a lot of recruiters making offers. What was the story?
You know, coming out of high school, like you said, I didn't have any scholarship offers. So, you know, playing football was really something that I love to do. And where else better to play? Go Florida State, you know. So, it's just a blessing to do.
Javian, why did you think you could play college football?
It's really a mindset. Coming out here, you know, a lot of people want to talk you out of it. Oh, you have 5 stars and, you know, all of that. But you just really got to have confidence in yourself and believe in God and know that anything is possible.
I think you're living proof of that. Now, take us through this. I think you went to Gulf Coast and then transferred to TCC.
Correct.
How do you walk on at Florida State? You just walk in the Moore Center and say, I want to play? How does it happen?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just pass the physical, and then that's it.
So did they know who Javian Elliott was when you came out?
Not even a clue.
That is amazing. Now tell these fans, a lot of them don't know, what does a walk-on do? What did you do your first year? What do you do out here? How do you help them?
Pretty much, you're pretending to be the other team. You know, you're giving the look, and you're just like, basically, you're being told everything you want to do. Okay, you're gonna go out here and pretend like you're number 6 from Clemson or something like that. So that's pretty much it.
So you did a lot of acting.
Yeah.
I think Javian did a lot of good acting though, because after 1 year as a scout team player, he did well enough that Jimbo Fisher thought he deserved something more. Tell us, how did you find out you were getting a full athletic scholarship?
Well, it was after camp last year before the season. And it was a regular day. It was like the first day of class, and I was getting ready for practice. And a couple of people that work in the front office was just like, hey, you know, Jimbo want to see you. And
you thinking something could be wrong, right?
Yeah, you know, school's about to start. You know, you never know. So he just came up here. He was just like, you know, you did great this camp, and you know, we want to present this scholarship to you, and if you want to sign it, you can.
Did you look for a quick pen?
Of course.
Javian, what did it feel like for you the first time you went out there and actually played in a ball game?
I felt at home. You know, watching Florida State play my whole life and being a part of it, it's no better feeling, especially when the band strike up and the crowd is tomahawk. It's no better feeling. No better feeling.
And, you know, Javian, tell us, that would have been a great enough story right there. We could have ended it right there. You could have applied for a job, and I bet somebody had hired you. But you said, how about the NFL? What's your thought? How did you decide, I think I'm going to try the NFL?
Well, playing at Florida State is the highest level of football, the best school in the nation. So, you know, it's pretty much the same. You know, there's so many people in the NFL from Florida State. You know, we're highly trained here. We work hard, and we're a high prestige school. So I feel like I will be able to take my talents.
Javian, so what's it like to wake up in the morning and go to work at One Buccaneer Place?
Hey, get to dress how you want to. You don't have to get up. But it's truly a blessing, man. You know, it's the best feeling. You know, it's not every kid dreams of doing it. Not everybody get to make it.
Well, I want to tell you, there are a lot of kids that dream, but not everybody can fulfill that dream and have the heart and the effort to do it. Your parents are here too. Where are they? Raise your hand. Where are your parents back here somewhere? They're hiding back there somewhere. They spoke to a different Panama City. Javian, we're very proud of you. Great to have you as a Seminole Buccaneer.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Roberto Aguayo. Welcome back, Roberto. Now, before I forget, I think your parents are here as well.
Yes, I was just looking for them.
We're right here. The Aguayos right here. Thank you. Roberto, let's go back to, and with girlfriend right here. She's right here too. That's good. There's Mom. I say Mom. Thank you, thank you. Mom, are there any other little Aguayos? No more, this is all, there's still time, you know. All right, no, that's enough of that. Roberto, let's take you back to Mascot, Florida, and you're 10 years old. Were you playing soccer, football? How did this football thing happen?
Yeah, you know, I tell it.
You gotta get real close.
I tell this story a lot. You know, growing up playing soccer, and then all of a sudden in fall, my parents put us in football because you know, their friends were putting their kids in football. So those kids were saying, "Oh, you know, football's fun." So we did it, and kicking was the last thing that I thought I was going to be doing. I played, the first position I played was guard, right guard. So then I started playing tight end, linebacker, and it wasn't until the next year where we were allowed to kick, and kick counted for 2 points instead of, if you went for it, it counted for 1. So we needed to find a kicker, and they lined all of us up, and they said whoever could make it. And I made it the first time, and the coaches were kind of like, I think he was lucky. I think he got lucky. Let him do it again. I did it again and again, and I kept making them. So they were like, "You're a kicker." I never thought that I could go and be in the NFL as a kicker. I played other positions. I already played playing Mike linebacker, but it wasn't until high school where I went to my first camp and I realized that I could do it at a high level.
We're glad you realized that. Now let's take on. Why did you commit to Florida State?
Well, since a young child, I've been a Florida State fan. Always watching the games. A lot of side games that are in here too. So it's just, I don't know. I think as a young child, I think I like the tomahawk chop, the Indian, warrior type thing. So when I was getting recruited, I knew, reality struck. I was like, if they're looking for a kicker, I'll go. If they're not, then I'm gonna have to part ways. I'm gonna have to go somewhere else. But I came up here to camp and I kicked here, and Coach Fisher fell in love with the way I kicked. Coach Eddie Gran was here as special teams coach, and they offered me a scholarship. I committed on the spot, and since then, 2010, I want to say, I committed.
And Roberto is a guy that committed. Once he committed, we knew we could count on him, and they didn't have to worry anymore, and that means a lot.
Thank you again. Thank your family.
Yes, thank you. Let me ask you this, Roberto. You're in a full-time job. You work like Javian at one back in your place, but you can't practice kicking 8 hours a day. So what kind of work does a kicker do in the week before you prepare? How do you prepare?
In the NFL, with any position, it's a lot different. Like you said, you can't be on the practice field for 8 hours. It's just a lot of film work, a lot of mental reps, a lot of visualization, and just seeing how you want to approach the game, as much mentally. So those are the things we do strategically. What we're going to do in different phases of the game. There's a lot more put into it than college, and that's what I've noticed. It's a very detail-oriented business, and so for any rookie, like me and Javian, where every day that we've been there, we just learn something new. Just always talking to the veterans, always why do people do this? Why do you do that? Why do certain people do this? And you go to the guys that have been successful, have been in the league a long time, and you just pick their brains, and that's what we've been doing since we've been down there, and just learning and growing as teammates, to help the team win.
Well, you're doing a great job at Tampa Bay. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Last question: what has it meant to you to be a Florida State Seminole?
And when I was here, you kind of get caught into it. You're playing the game. You're having fun. You're just trying to win football games. But it wasn't until I came, coming back and being outside the picture. Like today, I just saw the team come off the bus and walk in, and I was like, whoa, it's weird being on the other side. It's weird, and but that really, it hits your heart and tells you how much of a great place Tallahassee, Florida is, and the great fan base and the great traditions like Sod Cemetery. I think I wouldn't, if I had the choice again to pick a school to go to, I wouldn't have chose anywhere else. I would have.
Guys, we're very proud of you. Fans, thanks for coming out. Roberto Aguayo and Javian Elliott. Thank you. Great legends. We want to thank the Tallahassee Democrat who helps get the word out for our events. Thank them so much. The folks at WarChant.com and FSU Sports Marketing help get our word out, and we appreciate it. Let's give a big hand for the Dickie Hostert Band who came early and played for us. The Extra Point Club, they're our gardeners. Randy and Melinda Allen help us with sound. Jim Hunt with social media. And my wife, Cricket, fills the pumpkin with these beautiful flowers. The cemetery celebrates great days when other people didn't think you could do much and you brought back the victory. And we've done that since 1962. Now, we actually had 4 wins at Clemson. You'll see that there are orange and purple flowers in honor of the Clemson Tigers for their 4 grave markers. Those were 4 days when Death Valley for the Seminoles became Happy Valley. I want to take a minute. There are some Clemson fans. Welcome to Florida State, to all of you. We are very proud that you're in our conference, and we appreciate it. You play football sort of like we do, and we appreciate it. There's some great Seminoles that are here today around, and they've been legends with it. Marvin Shade Tree Jones will probably be here in a second. The 1993 Heisman Trophy winner Charlie Ward is right over the way. Tonight you're going to meet the NFL's Man of the Year, and he's going to be inducted this fall in the College Football Hall of Fame. Derek Brooks is with us. And just a minute ago, he brought his family and his 79-year-old grandmother. He was voted the Sporting Goods #1 good guy in sports. Our Warren Dunn.
I saw you say that.
Some things don't just happen. They happen because legendary players bring back the sod. We've got 3 of the most dynamic national championship Seminoles ever with us today. So let's welcome our Sod Talk legends. The first one came to us from Albany, Georgia. Albany, if you're from there. Fort Lauderdale and now Jacksonville. He was a highly rated wide receiver in high school. But when he came here, he immediately became a force in college football. His very first pass reception, some of you remember a roaring night against Oklahoma right there. Our quarterback got hurt. Clint Trickett came in and threw a 45-yard pass, and this fella caught it and scored immediately against Oklahoma. And he just kept going. As a freshman, he caught the game winner against Notre Dame in Orlando. Time and time again, he had big plays in big games. Big plays to beat Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. To beat Clemson in Happy Valley. 2 years ago with Sean McGuire to beat Clemson in Doak. And maybe the biggest play to beat Auburn in Pasadena. He is always humble, usually quiet, always dependable, and always very, very good. He became an All-America. He's the Seminoles' all-time pass reception leader, 270 passes for 3,830 yards and 32 touchdowns. Today he's a wide receiver and returner for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Welcome back, Rashad Green. The people are here. There you go. Our second legend came from Valdosta, Georgia. Who's from Georgia this week? You could tell he loved to play football. That energy was spread to his teammates every time he took the field, the practice field, or the game field. Some thought he was too thin. Truth is, he was too good. Too strong. No Seminole linebacker ever covered sideline to sideline than the double goose number 22. He finished with 214 tackles, 29 tackles for loss. He was the dynamic, vocal heart and soul of the 2013 national champion. You know, I've seen so many that
Come on, dog! Come on, dog, get it right.
When Auburn had one more play to try to beat the Seminoles in Pasadena, he made the final tackle to hold the national championship. Today, the man who is too strong is the star for the Jaguars, R22, Telvin Smith. From Smyrna, Tennessee. Everybody wanted him out of high school as a defensive back, a sprinter, and a long jumper. He turned down Southern Cal and Florida to become a Seminole. He immediately became the first freshman defensive backfield starter since number 2, Deion Sanders. He helped FSU win a national championship. He was fearless, tough, fast, and ultra-competitive. At cornerback and safety, frankly, he struck fear in the heart. Check, check. Ooh, my bad. Let's go, Seminole! He was spit in the first round of the NFL draft. Oh Lord, I tell you what, let's go. I don't think I got to do. Are you glad to be back, Jalen? I'm more than glad to be back. I'm happy. All right, let's let Junior here make a little bit. We've got to give him a shot just a minute. Is that all right? Just a minute. Jalen, what was your, if you had to pick one favorite play in college, what was it? Your play.
I'm over here. I'm right here, Doug.
Get off of now. Hey, Doug's struggling today because he's excited. You know what I'm saying? Y'all give it up for Doug, man. He's just a little excited right now. Hey. You can sleep on that. Just hold out a minute. Get it right.
It would have to be just a simple slant route in a national championship game to set us up for a win. The opportunity, what Jimbo was here, he was trying to build. I was bought into it immediately. Just seeing what Telvin was trying to do with the team, I was bought in as a recruit, and I made my decision early, and I wasn't changing. I already had the mindset to come in and do something spectacular.
Now, Rashad, let me ask you. You had some pretty good quarterbacks. First Mr. Manuel, and then Jameis Winston. What was it like to have Jameis Winston as your college thrower?
It was awesome. You know, just to have somebody like Jameis, a brother, a friend, just to be out on the field with him, it was unbelievable. we held each other accountable. We wanted to be great, and we wanted to do great things here, and we were always on the same page. That's why we won national championship.
Go Noles!
Excuse me, is your name Jalen Ramsey? Is that right?
Yes.
It's your turn. It's your turn. Jalen, you could have gone to Southern Cal, to LA. You could have gone to Florida. Why FSU?
You got a lot of questions on here now, dude.
Don't read. Don't think. Just think. Why'd you come to Florida State?
For the tradition, man.
Tradition. I like that. Now,
it's the best tradition in the land.
Now this is. The prime time one asked you, did you enjoy your time here?
Yeah. I love my time here.
All right, as a corner, I know that under normal circumstances, nobody ever beats you. Now listen to me. On a rare occasion, when a quarterback makes a perfect throw and a receiver makes a perfect catch against you, serious question, how do you turn it around and get right back ready for business?
Here we go.
Telvin, I think you really enjoy playing football. Is that right?
I love the game. I love the game, and I love everything it has done for me.
Telvin, now tell us, when you were a little fella, maybe 10 or 11 years old, were you playing linebacker back in Valdosta? What did you play?
Nah. I actually started off playing center. Center was my position, I still got the jersey and all. As a matter of fact, we was the Gators. Sorry, fella. Hey, I got my mind right, Nose. Let's go.
You probably squeezed that ball so hard they had to you beat up on that ball and snap it.
I had to come along. Let's say that. I had to come along.
Now your final choices, I recall, were the Dogs and the Seminoles. Why'd you pick the Seminoles?
Well, we did. You know what I mean? Let's go, Nose. Look at us out here. Let's go. I loved it, man. The first time I stepped on the field, the first game I saw was the first game of the season. What that was, 2009 against Miami, when it opened up. That was a big one, man. So when I seen that, it was over. It was over.
Let's go. Now, Jalen, you had a defense for the ages in 2013, and I'm thinking about that team. You all thinking with leaders like LaMarcus Joyner, Timmy Jernigan, Jalen Ramsey, and you. I'm guessing that there wasn't any chance for anybody to be any lazy on plays with that defense, was there?
We didn't tolerate that. That wasn't our mindset. That ain't how we roll.
I imagine that if anybody didn't give 100% effort, for you coaches on the field were on them pretty hard, right?
That's the thing that I really loved about that team, is that we ran the team. We listened to Jimbo. He was our leader. But when it came to handling our business, we handle business. Yeah, let's go.
All right, some props to people you played. Who were some of the best runners that you remember playing against in college?
Best runners I played against? Running backs? Man, we killed them all. What are you talking about? I don't remember them cats, man. I don't remember them guys. All I remember is championships, man. You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Tell me, what do the Seminoles need to do tonight to beat Clemson?
Seminoles tonight. One, defense got to come out and stand up. Defense win championships. After that, you just got to come out and make plays. All
right, now Telvin and Jalen and Rashad, let's get real with some business tonight, okay?
Let's do it.
These fans all right out here, they got a job to do tonight. They've been working all year. They've been grinding. They've been getting the game day clothes on. They've been eating tailgate food. They've been drinking plenty of liquids. Some of them since noon today. I see some liquids out there.
I see you've been drinking them liquids now. Y'all be careful out there drinking them liquids.
That's right. Now I want you to be Coach Smith. This is your team. You need to get on these fellas and fire them up.
Let's go, Coach.
They need to do.
Let's
go, Coach. Today.
Right. Every time I start off one speech, the first thing I say is bring it in a little tighter, bring it in a little tighter. Take a little bit, take 2 steps forward.
Take 2 steps forward. All right,
take 2 steps forward. Listen. Things ain't been going how we wanted them to go. But we can't worry about that. We gotta go out here and play our hearts out. We only got one shot. We only got one shot. We only got one shot. I need everybody on their feet. We got 60 minutes. They say them Tigers coming here to take what's ours. We ain't gonna let them have it. We can't let them have it. I need each and every one of you for 60 minutes, man. For 60 minutes to bear down and root your nose on. Root your nose on. Hey, we gonna get a family on 3. When I say 3, y'all say family. 1, 2, 3, family. That's what I tell my man. Let's go. Go on. Ooh, man, listen. We're gonna do a little call and response.
Hold it down.
See. When I came here, I said we came to win championships. A lot of those guys that I came with, we came here, we said we're gonna take on this mentality. So in this mentality, it was a chant that I started here, and they still said it here today. And it's, what are we? One team, one heartbeat. What we gonna do? Win. Will we lose? Hell no! And y'all gotta say, I know it's kids out here. I know that. Lord forgive us. But I want y'all to say, hell no. Cause listen to this.
That's in the Bible.
It's a mentality. It's a mentality.
I read it.
Look. So when I say, what are we? One team, one heartbeat. What we gonna do? Win. Will we lose? Hell no. Will we lose? Hell no. All right, we got one time. I'm telling you, you gotta nail it right here. Y'all ready? Oh, we started out like this. Fight for each other. There we go. Fight for each other. Fight for each other. Fight for each other. What are we? One team. What we gonna do? Win. Will we lose? Will we lose? Will we lose? Let's go.
I was still in elementary school.
Oh, okay. Oh, well. Since you live here in Tallahassee,
Yes,
you understand. Sorry, it's just like Mickey. I just told the guys finally found the right one.
Right.
North Florida Christian won 4 state championships with our legend playing for them. He chose FSU, but I'm kind of sort of thinking maybe he was destined to choose Florida State. We'll talk about that in a minute. At the Seminole, when the Sea came here as the top recruited linebacker in America. Parade, All-America, USA Today, All-America, everybody's All-America. But he chose Florida State. He was big, tough, fast, and dependable, and he became an All-America linebacker for Bobby Bowden and for Mickey Andrews. After his junior year in college, well, the National Football League called and they said, please come see us for a job. And he was the 9th pick in the first round of the NFL draft. He played in the NFL for 8 years. He played for the Lions, the Eagles, the Colts, and the Cowboys, and was a very tough middle linebacker. He's retired, he's in business in Tallahassee now, and he's giving back to his hometown through the Ernie Sims Big Hit Foundation, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Would you welcome back Tallahassee's own and our number 34, Ernie Sims. All right, buddy. Welcome. All right. Ernie, we got another legend here with you today we're going to introduce. He was a 2-time national champion for your Crimson Tide from Alabama. He was the all-SEC deep safety in football and center fielder in baseball, which really just means he was a really, really good athlete in college. After 18 years in college and pro coaching, Bobby Bowden called in 1982, and what a wonderful call it was. For 26 years, he was Florida State's defensive coordinator. He led Florida State to 2 national championships. He was a vital part of a 14-year dynasty, the only one, the NCAA says there was one dynasty, and it was 14 years of Bobby Bowden and Mickey Andrews football at Florida State. On his defense, he coached 51 All-Americas. He coached 19, this fella, and 18 other first-round draft picks to the NFL. 2 Jim Thorpe Award winners, 2 Lombardi Award winners, 2 Butkus Award winners. And when America decided to choose who was the very best coordinator, the assistant coach in all of America, they decided they'd name that award after Frank Broyles, and they looked around, and the very first person they chose is our legend today. Would you welcome back Coach Mickey Andrews? Coach, glad to have you back, buddy.
Appreciate it. It's good to be here. I was here last week. No, 2 weeks ago, I guess. But I was back over there.
Step forward, Coach. We won't put you on injured reserve. Step forward. Put your foot down there. We are glad to have you here.
Well, I appreciate it. It's really a great honor to be here with these folks because they're really Seminoles. It means something to them, and it's great to be with Ernie and all his family. I saw his mom and daddy a while ago. I told his daddy, I don't know what he's doing, but it's like his mama, Ernie's mama getting better looking every day.
He is still recruiting. He's still recruiting. And you see why he gets the players here. All right, Ernie, let's talk a minute about your career here. In a lot of ways, I think you were destined to be a Seminole. And if y'all don't know this, Ernie's a really good athlete, really good person, but he should have been, because let me tell you why. Ernie's daddy and mama are both Florida State alumni. His daddy, Ernie, was a great Seminole fullback and linebacker, and his mama, Alice Bennett Sims, was a 2-time FSU All-America long jumper and a 5-time FSU All-America sprinter. So Ernie really was destined to be a Seminole. And before I forget, now Mickey, in recruiting, we got to recognize Mama. Where are Ernie and Alice? Y'all raise your hands right here. There's Miss Alice and there's Ernie right there. And look out, that's Ernie Sims the fourth. See right on top, right up there?
And he's going to be a Seminole as well.
All right, we already got it now. Line it up. All right, wait a minute. And since we're doing the Sims family, where's Major? Where's Major? Major Sims is the largest 2-year-old in North America. Right here, Major and Ernie. All right, Ernie 4. Ernie, let me ask you something. Why did you choose Florida State? Kiss the mic. Kiss the mic.
That is an interesting question. Well, like you just described, I got opportunity to go to any university in the country. And like you said, both of my parents played here at Florida State University. And I got an opportunity to go to Florida, Miami, Georgia, Auburn. And, you know, really, it came down to the bare necessities.
Alabama?
No, we didn't talk about Alabama. Okay, perfect. But it came down to my heart and where I really wanted to live the rest of my life, and that's one of the reasons why I came back to Tallahassee. In Florida State, it was dear to my heart, obviously because my parents went here, my older brother went here, my younger brother went here, and I just felt like I was at home. And I give a lot of credit to the guy who recruited me, Coach Kevin Steele, a good friend of Coach Mickey Andrews, and I just wanted to play for the legendary Bobby Bowden. It was always a dream that I've had. I remember the first time he came through my doors, and I still got this picture. And he had the 34 jersey from Ron Sellers, and I still got this picture, and I got a smile from ear to ear, just having the opportunity and the pleasure to wear that jersey. And it was just a great opportunity.
You know, and we're glad you made that choice. You all know that the only 34 since Ron Sellers has been right with us, Ernie Sims, today, and Ron was proud to give that jersey to somebody with Ernie's caliber, and you certainly held up the tradition. What do you remember about, I'm going to put you on the spot now, what do you remember about playing defense for Mickey Andrews?
Well, I will say this.
You can say it now.
I love Mickey Andrews, and one of the main reasons I love him, the type of person I am, I work extremely hard at everything. It's always been ingrained in me. I contribute to my parents. I've always worked hard. I mean, I don't care if we was tossing quarters against the wall. I'm gonna try to compete, and I'm gonna work harder than you. And I'm pretty sure he can attest to that. I always worked hard. But I think that one thing that Coach Mickey Andrews did, and I think one of the things that made us so great is that he didn't accept mediocre. He didn't accept for us to loaf. He didn't accept for us to give half effort. He expected us to give our best every single play, every single practice, every single drill, and it illuminated when we got to that game field. And that's one thing that I can take. I teach these young kids is in everything that you do in life, you got to make sure you give 100% effort. And that's going to help you be successful in life. So that's one thing that I really appreciate that he taught us, and I think our whole defense, and you saw when we played, everybody gave maximum effort, and when we got to the ball, obviously we had bad intentions when we got to the ball.
Bad intentions when you got to the ball. All right, Ernie, describe the qualities of a great linebacker. You get to draw one up. You get to draw up a great linebacker. What do you want to draw up when you draw up that great, other than looking just like you?
Yeah, I was about to describe myself.
What qualities do you want in a great linebacker?
I want a fearless linebacker. I want a linebacker with heart, determination, and will. I want a linebacker who has great communication skills. I want a linebacker who is a leader by example. be honest with you, I'm not a fan of vocal leaders. Not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but that's me personally. I like to lead by example. I want a linebacker who is 5'11" 3/4. Oh, that's my size? Oh.
He was 6'2" when he got here.
Ward to Dunn. Rich to Sam. Winston to Benjamin. And then Winston to Benjamin again and again. McGuire to Cole last year, and the Seminoles won 27, and Jimbo's still upset about the 2. We do want to welcome you some friends from the University of Florida. We're glad you're here at Tallahassee. We appreciate your being here. We hope you have a wonderful weekend in all ways except scoreboard. And we're glad to have you here. Legendary players created the tradition that we celebrate tonight. We've got 2 great legends here today. Let me mention first, William Floyd was here and got called back to radio, so bar none is live on the radio right now. He's going to be with us next year again, so we'll miss William today. Our first legend came to us from Daytona Beach, Florida in 1963. He came up with his high school running mate, Billy Mormon. He was a wide receiver on the 1964 Seminole team. They were the first to defeat the University of Florida the first time they came to Tallahassee. They were our first bowl winners. They beat Oklahoma in the Gator Bowl 36-19. He was a cornerback. Our next friend, you're going to see the guy. He was a very fast football player. He was a cornerback on the 1967 Seminoles. They went up to Legion Field in Birmingham, and they tied #1 Alabama 37-37. And Bear Bryant had what I think is the greatest line in Seminole football. When we went ahead, the Bear said, "What the hell is going on out there?" And it was a great moment. That 67 team went on to defeat the University of Florida in Gainesville, our first win in Gainesville. They also tied Joe Paterno in the Gator Bowl. They were a great team. Our legend went on to earn his PhD in education. He taught at the hometown Daytona Beach. I think it was probably junior college then, maybe community college. Then came back and became the president of Tallahassee Community College. And in 2003, he became the 13th president of the Florida State University. And along the way, he decided he'd run for office, and he was Speaker of the House at the Florida House of Representatives. Would you welcome back number 28, T.K. Weatherall. Don't fall yet. Our second legend is from Thomasville, Georgia. With Coach Bobby Bowden, they created the spread fast break offense. He quarterbacked Florida State to wins over the University of Florida in Tallahassee and in Gainesville. He was an All-America, a college football Hall of Famer. He led FSU to the Metro Conference Basketball Championship as a 4-year point guard. As a senior, he became only the second football player in American history to win the Sullivan Award as America's top amateur athlete. He is the most honored college football player ever to play the game. 12-year NBA career. Would you welcome back the 1993 Heisman Trophy winner, Charlie Ward. TK and Charlie, great to have you guys on Florida Day, Gator Day, I think TK would say, right?
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here.
I'm glad to be back. Charlie, TK, I want to ask you this one. All right. We played Florida for, a lot of these folks don't know, we played them for 6 years in Gainesville.
tell us about what it took to get him to come here and what it was like to play the University of Florida in Doak Campbell Stadium for the first time.
Well, it actually took the Florida legislature to get him here. The Gators decided that they needed to get a national reputation, and therefore they didn't want to play FSU anymore. They wanted to play the Citadel and a couple people like that to get ready to win the SEC championship, which they didn't do for 20 years. But that's another story. The legislature said, well, that's okay with us, but if you do that, you're not going to have any PICO funding. PICO funding is the thing that builds all the buildings and everything like that. And we're going to pass a bill that says you have to play Florida State University, and you have to play the University of Miami, and you have to play them on a home-and-home basis. Well, they said we'll negotiate a deal. And basically what the deal was that they would play Florida State every year for the rest of the time, and that would be done on a home-and-home basis starting in 1964, which was the first game that we played them here. They were pretty damn arrogant, to be honest with you about it.
TK, tell it, brother, tell it.
They spent the whole week saying never FSU, never, because we hadn't beaten them before that. And they came out on the field with jerseys that had "Go for 7," which they wanted to win 7 games in a row against us. They didn't run on the field, they walked on the field. Now during, that kind of got people upset. But the first series of play, we had a middle linebacker named Jack Shinholter. His name's over there on the field. Jack was about as badass as you could meet.
Tell it, brother, tell it, brother.
If he hit you on Saturday, you felt it until Monday. It was that big. First series of plays, Jack hit their center, Carr. The ball, Jack, and Carr all wound up in Spurrier's lap. It went downhill from there, and we wound up winning the ball game and going on to the Gator Bowl and having a great year.
TK mentions the 1964 team, and when you leave, I want you to see something on the wall of champions right over there. The 1964 plaque that recognized that team, it had gotten a little bit aged, a little bit weathered, and it frankly had 4 people's name misspelled too. And TK noticed that, and so we talked this summer. So today, we've dedicated a new plaque to Tom Delapez, right back there, fullback on the 64 team, and all the 64 Seminoles. And that new plaque is up on the wall right now, so you'll see it. It's got gold on it. Before I forget, I see Tom and I've seen Johnny Crow. Any other family or team members from the 64 Seminoles here? Anybody? I see somebody raise it. Oh, they're just yelling because they're ready for the ball game. Cheryl Mormon. Where's Cheryl? Cheryl right here, wife of Billy Mormon, halfback of that team. Cheryl, great to have you. Thank you all for coming to visit us. Is there somebody else? But I can't see. TK, can you see? And Bob Menendez, defensive end on that team. Bob, stand up back there, right here.
Bobby Menendez has the best Seminole quote of anybody that ever played the Gators. In 1967, when we got off the bus at Gainesville, Bobby said, "Welcome to Gainesville, boys. If it moves, hit it. If it don't, spit on it." And I cleaned that up.
All right. Bob, we like that. We like that. Charlie, today they call it the spread offense. You and Coach Bowden really first perfected this. Remind us, how did you and Bobby Bowden create the fast break offense?
Well, it all really started with our offense. It was the Buffalo Bills. We got the offense from the Buffalo Bills. It was our 2-minute offense that we had incorporated. That's what we were running for 2 minutes. However, we were down in the Georgia Tech game my junior year, which I had something to do with it. But so we ended up having to use our 2-minute offense a little bit earlier, like the fourth quarter, and we were very successful running that offense. And when it all came down to it, they were like, well, since we scored like 21 points in 6 minutes or whatever it was, maybe we should make this our main offense. And we did after that game, and we kind of mixed and matched for that year, but my senior year, we made it full time, and it became what everyone's running today, which is the no huddle, hurry up. But we were one of the first, I guess, outside of Buffalo Bills.
Charlie, remind fans, who were your receivers your 2 years? Some of the guys that you passed to.
Well, I had Kez McCorvey, who was our leading receiver. Threw him the ball the most. He caught it, but he also had ran good routes. Yeah. Matt Fry. Kevin Knox was another receiver. Omar Ellison was another guy. Shannon Baker, my junior year, was
Shannon Baker, the touchdown maker.
Yes, he was. Lonnie Johnson was our tight end at the time. And, of course, William was our fullback. Threw to him on some occasions. Not many.
You had a roommate tailback that you...
Edward Gunn and Sean Jackson. Had a great stable of guys around me. Offensive line that was very, very solid as well.
Pretty darn good ball team. TK, now you played wide receiver early in your career and then moved to cornerback when we had to have somebody cover those fast people. You played for a year or two behind a guy named Fred Biletnikoff. Tell us about Freddie. What kind of player was he for us?
Well, I was so good at knocking balls down on offense, they decided to move me to defense, but I did better at that. But playing on the 64 team with Bobby and Tom and some of us who played scout team before most of the game, Biletnikoff was one of the few people after practice that we'd go out there and we'd run routes and we'd cover each other and that kind of thing. And we had basically a sign, one's a post, two's a curl, three's an out. And you'd kind of hide behind and show, so nobody knew what you were going to run. Biletnikoff would tell you what he's going to run, then run it and catch it. That's just how good he was. Freddie was, I thought, the best I'd ever seen until Ron Sellers showed up. And I'm not sure which one is the best ever. I think Freddie had better moves, better hands. Ron could catch anything. He could catch a cold if you had to. I mean, it was that good.
Played with some really great ones. Charlie, let's go back to 1993 in Gainesville. We need to win that game to play for the national championship. We need to win to get to the Orange Bowl. We need to win to beat the Gators as always. You need to win probably to win the Heisman Trophy. It's late in the third quarters and the Gators score and we're only down by 5. We're up by 5 then, but I remember somebody must have tipped your pass and nearly intercepted it, and then they blocked another one, so it's 3rd and 10 from the 21 at Florida Field, and as I recall, the Florida Field was the loudest I'd ever heard. It was just unbelievable, and Gene Deckerhoff called that little play like this.
Ward takes the snap, play action, runs, looks, pops out of the pocket, runs to his left, throws it downfield, it is caught by Dunn. He's got the first down to the 40, down to the 50, down to the sideline to the 40, down to the 30. He separates, he's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown, Florida State.
Charlie, what I also recall, the great Keith Jackson was calling it for ABC. And Charlie, they panned Charlie running behind the play towards the goal line. When he saw Warwick was going to score, Charlie actually did a little bit of high step in it. And Keith says, well, look at Charlie, even Charlie getting a little bit frisky there. We were pretty frisky in the stands. Tell us about that game, what it meant, and maybe that moment, that play.
Well, the game was a very important game because it was a game that was in between us and national championship, which we hadn't had an opportunity to play in. And we were confident that we were going to win the game. That was our mindset in every game. And Florida was on like a 23-game home winning streak, which we were confident we could win and break the streak. That was one of our goals. The entire game, we had taken the crowd out of the game. Offensively, we made plays, and defensively, we got stops and those types of things to be able to get the ball back. So the entire game, the crowd was non-existent until they started making a comeback in the fourth quarter, and they cut it down to 5 or 6 points. And the first down, second down, plays weren't good. Third down, I don't know if you all, well, when you get a chance, you'll see Coach Bowden's Dynasty documentary. He likes drawing things up in the dirt. And so that was something that we drew up in the dirt, that I was gonna roll to the left, and I was gonna be able to hit Ward in the sideline, and Tamar Vanover was able to spring in with a good block. Now that was the loudest I'd heard it, but after that play, that was the quietest I've heard it. It was just that fast. So, but it was a great game to be a part of, and definitely look forward to hopefully having the same type of ending tonight.
Charlie, I think if I pick one play in Florida State football history to see, it's probably Ward to Dunn at the Swamp, but maybe we'll create a new best memory tonight. TK, let's go back to 1967. It had been 9 years. We had never won in Gainesville. Your Seminoles had some confidence, but tell us about Hammond to Sellers and Hammond and that ball game and winning in Gainesville. What did that mean? A little bit about that ball game.
Well, anytime you beat the University of Florida, even if it's in Lumley pegs, I mean, you've had a good day as far as I'm concerned. But 67, we went down there. We'd never beaten them before. We had beat them the year before, actually, in 66 here, you might recall. Fenner caught one in the end zone, and some dang official, SEC official, was blind and couldn't figure it out. And they complained, no, he's inbounds, and he was out of bounds, and blah, blah, blah. But 67 was kind of a grudge game for us. It was the get-even game as far as we were concerned. Kim got knocked out about, I guess, the middle of the second quarter or something like that. Back then, we didn't know anything about concussion standards and all that. Some coach would hold up 5 fingers. How many fingers? A bunch. I think you're good enough. You played. But came down to towards the end of the ball game, and Kim came back on the field, and I'm not sure he knew much of anything. But back then, if you threw it to 34, it wasn't a bad play under any scenario. Kim hit Ron in the back of the end zone. We won the ball game and went on and played in the Gator Bowl.
Great win over Florida in Gainesville. Charlie, somebody asked me this, and I wasn't going to ask, but I'm going to do it anyway. I couldn't. Here was a simple question for Charlie Ward. I'm going to spring one on. Charlie, in football in college, did you ever have a foul for unsportsmanlike conduct? No, I didn't think so. Now, 12 years in the National Basketball Association with some of the greatest players ever. Did you ever have a technical foul? Did you ever get teed up?
Yes.
What could have happened? You really did?
I'm very hard on referees, especially if I see that they're wrong. I mean, it's okay. I'm wrong, and I apologize, but they're arrogant sometimes, and you just have to let them know. But of course, I was a guy that played a little bit below the rules. I was on that line. That's the way I made it. I had to make it 12 years, 11 years for some reason. So I played a little bit on the line, and sometimes I got caught. And when you get caught, you have to pay the fine. So
I still don't know if I believe it. I believe that a ref would have apologized to you if he teed you up. I will say one thing, maybe there was one game I do recall, somebody took a swing at you or elbowed you, and your entire Knicks team came off the bench because their mentality was, wait a minute, you can hit some of us, but you go swinging at our fella Charlie here, and we're all coming after you. Charles Oakley and the group, they came to your defense, as I recall, didn't they?
They did. It was against the Miami Heat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That was last time I got kicked out of a game.
I still really don't believe that, but I guess I believe you. You're here. Now, TK, you were TK was a very fast athlete, too. Tell us, when you watched Dalvin Cook running for the Seminoles, what do you see?
Man, you see greatness. That's all there is to it. A lot of coaches will say, this is what it takes to evaluate a player and that kind of thing. And it's kind of like pornography. You know, you can't define it, but when you see it, you know what it is. Same way with great running backs. You don't need to worry about how tall they are, how fast they are, all this stuff. When you see them run, you know. And Dalvin is one of those. Charlie was one, but Dalvin, he's special. You're going to see history tonight. You won't see many running backs in your lifetime that are that good.
No, that's not real. Greg, just on a wave. Now tonight, when Dalvin Cook scores his next rushing touchdown, it'll be the 45th rushing touchdown. So that record is good for about another 88 minutes. And when he does, he might break the record of number 26, Greg Allen. Greg, raise your hand back here. Greg is from Milton, Florida, and has 44 rushing touchdowns. And we asked Greg earlier, what do you really want to break the record? And Greg said, 32 years is long enough. Thank you for coming, Greg Allen. And Greg looks like TK, I think Greg could probably still get us on third down, don't you think?
Give him a uniform, I'm telling you.
Charlie, what do you see when you see DeAndre Francois at quarterback?
Well, he's definitely tough. As many times he's been under that tent and keeps coming back. I give him that part. He's really tough, but he's very poised, which is another great characteristic and quality you have to have as a quarterback. And he's a playmaker. I mean, he's made plays with his arm, and he's also made plays with his legs, and I'm grateful that he's playing for us.
DeAndre is just a redshirt freshman quarterback, and I don't know if he'll break your records, but we're looking forward to having him for two or three more years at least, possibly. TK Weatherall, what has Florida State University meant to you?
Well, it's meant everything, I guess. I'll give you one example and use one of the names that's on that plaque that we're dedicating tonight. There's a name up there named Wayne McDuffie. Wayne was nicknamed the Hawk because he was from Hawkinsville, Georgia, right up the road. I think Grant went through there when he came from Atlanta. I mean, you talk about the old South. You go to Hawkinsville, I don't know, I haven't been there in 50 years, but I got a feeling they're still whistling Dixie and flying the stars and bars up there. Wayne came here as an 18-year-old kid, just like all of us on that 64 team. And after 4 years, he had graduated, went into coaching, came around and did a lot of things. He was coaching here at FSU, and he stood in the Moore Athletic Center conference room one day, pounding the table that we had to sign this kid from Thomasville, Georgia. And the coaches said, well, I don't think that's a good idea. He's not that strong. He doesn't have that great of an arm. He can't throw the post corner. You know, I'm not sure he's tough enough and all this. Wayne would not take no for an answer. Now, you're talking about a kid that grew up in the old South and came to Florida State, developed a core of values, and grew from a boy to a young man and into a coach. Well, he walked out of that office that day and went to D. Fry and said, type me up a scholarship. He typed it up, and the coaches said, we'll meet next week. We're going to sign 55, and we'll decide whether to take the kid from Thomasville or not. Wayne went up and signed the kid from Thomasville, came back that next day, and the coaches said, well, we signed 53, Wayne, and I don't think we got room for him. He said, well, don't worry about it. Look at number 42 on the list. You've already signed him. Wayne McDuffie, a kid that grew up in the old South, a kid that played on a totally segregated high school, a totally segregated college team, hung it all out for a black kid named Charlie Ward from Thomasville, Georgia. That's what FSU does. It takes boys and makes them into men.
That is a great story. I remember asking Wayne McDuffie about the kid from Thomasville. I said, Wayne, how good is this guy going to be? He said, and Wayne was not a man of a lot of words. He said, throws like Namath, runs like Elway. What else you want to know? He was right. Charlie, there was a wonderful article in the Tallahassee Democrat on Thanksgiving Day, and Mr. Clark talked about, he interviewed Tony Dungy, and Tony was commenting on the wonderful work of Derek Brooks, Warwick Dunn, and Charlie Ward, and how we should be thankful. And Charlie particularly, he talked about his All-Pro Dads program. Tell these folks, what is All-Pro Dads and what does it mean?
All-Pro Dads is something that Coach Dungy lent his name and his time to for his services in the NFL. All-Pro Dads is an opportunity for dads to interact with their kids. They have a website that you can go to get daily devotionals and those types of things. And it's mainly just for dads to interact and enjoy what it means to be a dad. And I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to, I'm spending the day with my daughter, Hope, and I have 2 other kids and a beautiful wife that I appreciate very much. And, you know, the guy that I really learned about family and being in this type of environment, now that I'm a coach, Coach Bobby Bowden, which, you know, for 5 years, each and every Wednesday, we had family day in our training room. And every coach and their family came to eat dinner with us. And that was something that I always cherished, because even today, some of the guys who were kids at the time are now coaching or doing something great. And they come back, and I remember them because they were there with us on Wednesdays eating dinner. And that's something that Coach Bowden wanted us to have, and it happened. And I was grateful that I have another mentor in Tony Dungy, who has about 9 kids, which 2 of them are his biological and the rest are adopted. And for him to be, I'm not sure how old Coach Dungy is, 60 or whatever he is, to have a 9-month-old at the house is incredible, because it just goes to show you what type of heart he and his wife, Lauren, have. And that's something that I will always want to be, I always want to follow.
All-Pro Dads, and it's a great program, Charlie. Thank you.